have it for future reference. And we will begin. So thank you everyone for being here. This is great to have these people interested in learning about MineTracker and to help you and your organization just get more efficient with MineTracker and have your life easier. So we'll go ahead and get started. We're going to be talking about roster organization and management. So first off, we're going to introduce the team. Mallory Prayon, she is on this call. She is the Assistant Director for Student Organization Services, Fraternity and Sorority Live, and the Terry Scholar Program. And then we have our coordinator, April Reza. She'll probably join us in a little bit. She's the coordinator for Student Organization Services. And then we have Adriana, who has joined us as well. She is one of the SOS interns, and myself, Joanna, who is an SOS intern as well. And then Marcella will join us in a little bit. She is a special guest from the campus engagement team. So something cool that our office is holding is the SOS virtual office hours. So since we're not on campus where we can't have our actual office hours, we're going to be doing, we're going to have it virtually, where we have these times on Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, where you can join us, or if those times don't work for you, you can always email us and we can schedule an appointment with either all four of us, Adriana, April, Mallory, or I, and we can work something out to assist you with anything you need organization-wise. So this is what we're going to be talking about during this presentation. So we'll first go over the roster tool, the managing positions, updating memberships, the primary contacts, messaging through MineTracker, and how roster management can help your organization. All right, so the roster tool, what does it entail? So it gives you the option to manage positions. Any member that you have, you can manage what type of access they have. You can create unique positions specific to the organization. You can assign people to different positions. There's a messaging tool. You can invite others to join your organization or end and approve your memberships. So I have a little question to start it off. How have you utilized the roster tool in the past in your organization? And if you have, was it easy or difficult to navigate through? I'd like to hear what you all have to say about this. And if you've used it in the past, you can put it in the chat or you can open your mic. I'd love to hear your feedback on this.
Well, I'll go ahead and jump in. I would turn my camera on, but for some reason, we're having technical difficulties today. But aside from working in our office, I'm also part of a student organization, and I have been someone that has to utilize the roster. For the most part, it's very easy to add students. For instance, as long as you know their minor's email address, it's a quick line-by-line entry of everybody's email address, and then they all get sent the invitation, and then they get added super easily on that part. And it's just as easy to remove people or change their positions as well. It may take just a little bit of time to play around with it just to see how it works. Maybe just let members know if you do choose to mess around with it that you're just looking to see how it works, and you'll fix it as soon as possible. Because sometimes the best thing to learn and figure out how things work is just to go ahead and start doing it.
Thank you, Adriana, for your feedback. Does anyone else have any advice or experience with it? Laura says, SAE tried using this last year, but we had trouble understanding how it works and we didn't end up using it, but I would like to start on it this year. Well, great. I'm excited that you all are willing to learn and are wanting to start learning. So hopefully this can help you kind of get some information on how to do it. But yeah, I'm sorry that it was hard for you at first, but MineTracker is kind of confusing, so that's why we have these MineTracker 101s to kind of give you some information and tips and tricks on how to manage it better. So hopefully this helps you. Does anyone else?
Yeah, I just wanted to add one thing. So with Joanna, what she was mentioning was that MineTracker is like some other online tools where you have to learn like where to click and how to navigate it. And once you do, and once you become more familiar with the platform, it's a lot easier to navigate. I would explain it very similarly to like Blackboard or Blackboard Collaborate. So when you first had to log into Blackboard to take classes, or even any of you who transitioned to online classes, when you first had to figure out like, where do I find my syllabus? Where do I find this class? Where do I find the discussion board? And you have to figure out all of those tools. Once you've been doing it for a little while, it becomes second nature and a lot more easy to utilize. So we're hoping that through these sessions that we're hosting and also other tools that we're putting on the website, that it'll help everybody learn to use the system a lot more often and easier, because it is a great tool to help you all be successful as leaders of your organizations.
Thank you, Mallory. All right, so if no one else has anything, we'll go ahead and move on to the next one. All right, so managing positions. So this is a big one with the roster tool. This is kind of the big thing, I guess, that the roster tool offers students, and this is what most everyone utilizes it for. So it allows you to navigate your roster more easily, and so when you first log into like the roster tool, like as a new organization or anything, and you haven't inputted, or like the previous officers haven't inputted anything in there, it'll give you like a template of these positions that most every organization will have. So like the president, the vice president, your advisor, active member, secretary, and treasurer. But you can always create a position that's specifically for your own organization. So like a campus coordinator or marketing chair, community service chair, whatever positions that your organization specifically has, you're able to create those. Does anyone have any questions on this so far? If not, we'll keep going. Okay, well, you can stop me at any time if you have any questions. I'd love to answer them, and Mallory, I'm sure, would love to answer them as well. Okay, so where to manage or create positions. So you're gonna go and view your organization's action center. So you're gonna log into MineTracker, click on your organization, and then go to the three little horizontal lines in the top left. You're gonna click that. It's gonna bring down this huge drop-down menu. And then you're gonna click the roster tool. Just to keep in mind, you have to have management access for this. You have to make sure like the previous president or officer gives you that access in the roster tool. So just make sure that you have that, and if you don't see it, then contact either us or your previous president. And then at the top right, you're going to click management positions, and then it's going to bring up all of the people, like all of the positions and your whole roster there, and then you'll be able to manage from there. And I'll go into more in depth there. All right, so then it will bring up all the positions, and you'll be able to edit each person individually. So like it'll bring up the position name, the position type, it'll show on your public roster, you can make them active, set management access, all that good stuff. And so once you give someone management access, it allows them to do basically anything on MineTracker. Anything that the president can do, you can do. So be sure that you like kind of limit who has management access, because you don't want like other people to go in and change everything. So make sure that maybe like 2 or 3 people in your organization have it, like president, vice president, and maybe one other person, or like your advisor or something like that. So it gives them access to like the documents, the election tool, creating events, the finance tool, forms, messaging, news, like all that good stuff that MineTracker has to offer. But there's actually views or options to give them like view access. So they can view these things, but they can't edit it. So maybe like for your officer positions, maybe that's a good way to have them still involved on MineTracker, but not able to edit it. So it just kind of limit like edits and like mistakes, and you know, it could just help you be more accountable, I guess. So yeah, there's all these different things like to access like the photo gallery. There's like no access, view access, full access. So there's that for every single tool on MineTracker basically. And you can actually like pick which ones you want people to have access to. So for instance, if you want your community service chair to have access to create events, you can give them access specifically just to create events and view the photo gallery or something like that. So you can pick and choose like what officer position you want doing what. Does anyone have any questions so far? Kind of get the hang of it on this? All right, we'll move on. So this is just kind of more screenshots of what you can do. So for like management access, these are a few more tools that MineTracker has to offer. So like with service hours, if you want your community service chair to have access to viewing or have full access to adjusting the service hours, you can do that for them. Elections tool, documents, all that good stuff. So this is just more of what MineTracker has to offer, and the management access is giving you. So to create a new position on MineTracker, you're gonna click the plus, it's like a little blue button that says plus position at the top. And then it'll bring you this page, this screenshot, and it'll have you name the position, whatever your organization wants to name it, the position type, complete the additional information that it asks for. And just to keep in mind, it might take a few minutes because it has to go through the system and be processed and all that stuff. So changing positions in your organization, you're gonna visit your action center again, which is on MineTracker, like the manage organization, what your organization has. You're gonna open the toolbar menu at the top left and then click to the roster tool as well. And then you'll click the edit button, which is like a little pencil, I guess, in the top right corner of each person's name. And then it'll bring like a whole list of all the positions that you've created. And then you'll checkbox the positions that you would like to add or remove, and then save for that one specific person. Does anyone have any questions on that so far? I'll do that later. Sorry about that, guys. We'll move on. All right, so inviting new members to join your organization. This is if people have registered, like for instance, when we were on campus, if people had signed up to join your organization or something like that. You can invite them on MineTracker to start getting notifications and be a member of your organization here. So you'll go to your action center again, you'll go to the roster tool, and then there'll be a little button in the top right next to create position. It'll be invite people. Here will be, you'll have to enter their campus email addresses, so their miners accounts. Make sure that it's their miners email accounts because they're in the system. If it's like a Yahoo or Gmail or something like that, it's not going to go through. But you have a limit up to 500 email addresses. I would be very surprised if somebody had 500 email addresses to add, but that's very impressive if you do. But just so you know that you have a limit of 500. And then after you add it, you will, sorry, I was adding somebody. You will add email addresses. And then once you have entered all the emails that you want, you can select which positions to hold. Usually it's like members. And then once that, you will send it out. I guess note here, if you want members to hold different positions in your organization, like for instance, if you haven't updated your roster in a while and maybe it's like a historian or something, you can add them there at that time, but usually it's a general member if you're adding new people. So once you have your up to 500 email addresses, you're gonna click send invitations when all the people you want have been added to the list. Does anyone have any questions so far? Not. I think we actually have Marcella on. Let's see if she's on here. I think she is. So she can start.
Yes. Hello.
Hi, Marcella. All right, so
how are you?
Want to go to the next one?
Yes. So the way that approving organization member requests, some of you must know that when you're the president of or someone that can manage the organization, you will receive an email, and most of the time it will tell you like, oh, the name of this person wants to join the organization. Then you will need to go to MineTrack and access if you want that person to join the organization. You'll have the option to approve or deny their access to the organization. And this is a way that you can manage the roster. And yes, it will be just telling you there, like, as soon as you go into manage the roster, you will set like pending, and you will have the option of approve or denied. Yes.
And I'm sure you've seen that, like on your page, it has like a join or contact buttons, like for people to see. So if you kind of have like random people joining and you have to go through like a whole recruitment process, maybe you should contact them and like tell them about your recruitment process or something like that before you approve them into your organization. But if you just take like approve like anybody who joins, that's awesome too. So you can get that too. And I think we need to make like MineTracker, we need to advertise it more so people can start joining or contacting organizations, especially during this virtual time, because I think recruitment is kind of going to be hard for a lot of people during these times because we're not in person. So it'd be cool. And the RSO Hub is a great way for people to learn about organizations. So make sure y'all are on that and telling people about it so they can start joining. Right, so removing members from your organization. So this is like if people have graduated or dropped or anything like that. As well, you must have management access to access the roster tool. You'll go to your action center and then scroll down to the manage roster section. And then to remove a member, you're gonna click on their name and then end membership. So like do the little checkbox and membership. So then that will completely remove them from the MineTracker system in your organization.
The organization primary context, it is super important that you update this option, because there had been several cases where, and it even happened to me when I want to join an organization and the member that it's the primary contact there, it's no longer in school. So we recommend you to update every semester the primary contact. We recommend you that is the president of the organization, and it provides its phone number and sometimes their email. I think like it gives you the option of which option do they want to provide. And yes, so please update it. We don't want any problems like that, like other members want to join your organization and that they don't have the option to do it.
Yes, I completely agree. Like Marcella was saying, this is super important because like the SOS team will send out emails to all the primary contacts. And sometimes it'll be like people who have graduated 3 years ago who are living their own lives, you know? We don't really want to have emails from them. So that's very important.
Right.
Oh, Sinachi, I think your mic is on. So if you could please turn it off. I'm so sorry. Thank you.
Joanna, we have a question. I don't know if you want to answer it.
Okay, so Laura, I see. If it is a yearly membership, do I delete everyone and start adding members when they have filled out the contact or check for those who haven't? I would say yes, because they're not in it after a year. Correct, Laura? Okay, so I would get rid of the people who have completed their whole membership and then save the ones who are going to come back, and then add the ones who have officially like been in it where you know 100% like they're going to be in it. Yeah, I think it'd be good to get rid of the ones who are not in it anymore to make your life easier. And just make our lives easier as well, so we know for sure how many people you have in your organization and all that good stuff. Does that answer your question? right, so establishing a primary contact. So this is automatically designed or designated at the user who submits the organization registration. So usually like the president or the officer who submitted like the registration form, which is going on right now, by the way. So this can be changed with the little pencil in the top right again. You can change it to if your advisor wants to be it, we've had that before, or your president, or anyone else who's really up to date on keeping track with all the SOS team and is in charge of doing all the forms and all that good stuff. So this is where you can do it. I saw you, Anka.
Yes. Oh, as well, some of you know that the MineTrack has the option of sending a direct message, and that's super useful. So, for example, everyone should have access to it, and it has like the option of all access. So you go into the page, into the organization, the RSO, and then if you want to type, like if you want to message like when are we going to have the meeting or anything, it's a direct message. It goes through MineTrack, and the person that is a primary contact will have access to see it and respond to the message. There's two criteria, the position and a members.
Yeah, so you can do like all members who are on the roster, or like you can click which position you want to send it to.
Right.
So to send a message, again, you must have management access to the roster tool. You'll go to your action center, select roster tool again, and then click on the messaging link in the upper right-hand corner like you saw in the previous slide, and then click relay on the page that loads, or followed by the create relay on the page that loads next. You'll select those who you want to send a message to. And I think this goes directly through MineTracker, but you also get an email that you're having messaging, like somebody's messaging you. So you get like 2 notifications. And so you'll select edit, enter the title of like what you want. And then click once. So I guess enter the title, and then it does not carry over to the message, but allows you to identify it later. Like it'll come up, like for instance, like in your documents, it'll show like what the document's called. So you'll have like a reference back to like what the message that you sent before was. So then you'll click generate, and then on a new page, it'll take you to the temporary relay address. So the email that's in blue text, it'll open a new email and add it into the to field, then compose, and you'll be able to send your message. So they'll send out email address, like I said. So make sure that the user has their email notifications logged, which mostly everyone does unless you turn it off.
How roster management can help your organization. We recommend you to really update your roster. It allows you to manage your organization without complex spreadsheet or lists. So this is super helpful. We recommend you to like, you can see all the members and you can track attendance. So as well, as long as the roster is up to date, the messaging tool can be used to message members collectively or their positions. Keep accurate records of the alumni. So this as well is super helpful. So they want to transfer to, like, as soon as they finished here at the university, you know like who was part of the organization, as well like who's important emails. For example, the treasurer might need to receive a funding request deadline, or the advisor, like we need you to assist to this meeting. So it's super important to have an update roster.
As well, there are 3 important time frames in the academic year. So like the beginning of the fall semester, which we're coming up on, beginning of the spring semester, and ending of academic year. It's just important, like if you haven't done it at the end of the academic year, just to get rid of all the graduated students, add the new people who have joined, so everyone's up to date on it.
Right. And I know that some depends on like the Greeks. I think after every process, I think as well to add all the members.
Mm-hmm. So we have a little question for you. Do you think that that you will use the roster tool and the messaging feature for this upcoming semester? Does it seem interesting to you? Has anyone ever used the messaging feature? I'd just like to hear what you all have to say on this and what you think of it. You can open your mic or put it in the chat as well.
Have you used it, Joanna?
I have actually with my organization. I've managed the roster. I've actually never used the messaging feature. I honestly didn't really know about it until recently, but I think it's pretty cool that you can just message everyone in a big group because you have all their emails right there instead of like asking, oh, hey, what's your email? They're already there.
Yes.
So I think it's a really cool option.
I agree with you. We have as well some of the responses. Alessandra is saying, yes, I will definitely use the roster tool. And Naomi, yes, I have used the roster, very useful. I agree with you. Samantha, thank you as well for answering. Use the roster, but not messaging. It seems interesting. And yes, hopefully it will help you for this upcoming semester.
Yes, I completely agree. And I think, communication is huge right now with us not being able to be in person and communicate. So email is like really big, group chats, all that. So I think this would be a really good professional way to communicate to your organization members. So I think that's awesome. Osinachi, I see you have used both. That's awesome. How have you liked the messaging tool? Because I've never really used it. So I'd like to hear someone who has used it before, if you feel comfortable, of course.
We don't really use it. We have the WhatsApp app, and that's like kind of easy way of communication. If anything with the president that we need to communicate, or like, let's say when we needed to know about this meeting, we would just add the emails right there. And you can see an active way of like the engagement from some students. And like you mentioned in the beginning, is very interesting what you're telling us, that we should update often, because not a lot of people is engaged. Even if though they are on those kind of groups, you're able to see if the people read the message or they just ignore it. So a lot of the time they said that they're engaged, but in reality, they're just ignoring the messages. So if we are having people enroll on these organizations that are not paying attention to the messages, how is that organization gonna grow if it's not having a strong members,
Oh, yes, I totally agree with you. And you mentioned something really like what happened in my organization as well. Like we had the WhatsApp, then a lot of people were not active, and then sometimes it's difficult just to be eliminating from the group like the members that are not active. I think like it's even like it's tough for like the president or vice president to be like, oh, this member is not active, and like seeing the names on the conversation like to be erased. So that's why we recommend you as well to have your roster here in MineTrack. It will help you a lot. We have a comment from Naomi. I was wondering if this PowerPoint were available to share with other officers.
Yes, we will send out a whole email of like all the presentations we've done at the end. So you can see like every single presentation, like every single SOAP presentation, every single MineTracker presentation that we've done this whole summer. So you'll be able to see everything. Okay, Naomi?
Great, thank you, girls.
You're welcome. Okay, so we have a few announcements. So we have an upcoming MineTracker session on the 30th. We'll make sure that it doesn't kick us out after 40 minutes next time. We'll definitely keep that in check. That was rough. I was not expecting that. But yes, on July 30th, we'll be talking about involvement and connecting with members. And then I think Adriana's back in here. Want to talk a little bit about SOAP?
Hey, Joanna.
Hi, April.
I don't think she heard you.
Adriana, do you want to talk about SOAP?
Oh yeah, I thought April was gonna chime in, so I was like, oh, okay, I'll go after she's done. But yes, to those of you that are on here, we have our last sub-session for the summer. We're going to be going over everything you'll need to keep in mind, everything you need to use in order to be fully ready to go with fall 2020 registration, which opened up yesterday. So hopefully that can just help you as you get started on that, and then hopefully address any questions you might have on what you need as well. And you can RSVP for that on MineTracker.
What is going on? Did it show you guys or just kick me out? I don't know what happened. Anyways, so announcements. Okay, so as Adriana said, student organization fall registration has opened. It opened yesterday, and all returning student orgs must register at the beginning of the fall semester before September 30th to remain active. The window is July 15th through to September 30th. The requirements, so you're gonna have to have at least 6 members, 3 to serve as officers, and at least 1 advisor. The Constitution and bylaws, that is getting all the guidelines that, that we have for you. There's an example on MineTracker that you can follow for your Constitution. Each RSO must have an updated roster. This is helpful. A contact information with all the officers, members, and advisors. And when you have all the information above, you will log into MineTracker and complete the RSO re-registration directly from your organization's page. And this is how you can get there. So when you find the registration button on your page, you're gonna log into MineTracker, click on Manage Organization, and then click the re-registration button in the center of your organization's page. And then of course, if you have any questions, you can always email us if you have any problems with re-registration or anything like that. Gracie said, where can you find a link? Okay, so, wait, do you still have the question? You said I am on it. You got it? Okay, cool. All right, so we actually have this a little assessment for you. Let me put it in the chat. I don't know if I can copy it. I would appreciate if you guys could take this. This helps us get feedback on it, on like our presentations and any like feedback that you guys have for us for like future programs or anything like that. So if everyone could please take this sometime today or anything like that, that'd be awesome. Melanie says, does every officer get the emails from SOAP or just presidents? So we usually try to send it to presidents and vice presidents, but if your officers are interested in getting those emails, we can put you on the listserv that we send out. So just email us their emails and we can add them to it if you'd like. Or April,
Just gonna jump in.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there has been changes and we've added all members, officers, and advisors to our listserv. So everyone should now be getting any information, updates on any events. We're sending it to everyone now. Just making sure, again, that these members are listed on your MineTracker roster, because that's how we were able to get everyone's emails if they were part of the MineTracker roster.
Thank you, April.
Mm-hmm.
Again, if you guys could please take that assessment, that would be awesome. Yeah, that's basically it for us. You can always follow us at UTEP SELC on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We're always posting about our upcoming programs and, you know, just cool stuff to keep you engaged during the summer, during next fall, all sorts of stuff. So that'd be awesome. And does anyone have any questions for us so far about registration, about roster tool, MineTracker in general, literally anything we can answer for you. And if not, you can always email us at sos@utech.edu. All four of us, Mallory, April, Adriana, and I, are always looking at that and are always going to answer pretty quickly back to you. So just keep that in mind always. But we'll stay on to answer any questions you guys have. Again, please take that survey. That would be awesome.
Thank you, Naomi.